How's it? I'm Danie Nel, and today we're going to look at some cheap microphones. And when I say cheap, I mean really cheap and cheerful. And to see if you could get good quality sound with something that you might pick up from a pawn shop, a thrift store, or maybe some unknown Chinese brand. Is it possible to actually use these microphones? Now, to fully appreciate what an improvement even a cheap microphone can make is to listen to the audio that you're hearing now. This is straight from the camera microphone that's on board on a Canon 5D Mark IV. This is an expensive camera, pro level camera, but as you can hear, the sound out of camera body is not great. What's even worse is if you handle the camera, you get handling noise. You'll hear the camera focus. I mean, if I do this and the camera tries to focus, you should be hearing the autofocus motors, actually the sound of them being recorded. So as you listen to these cheaper mics and you start being critical, just remember that this is the alternative to having no microphone. That the onboard microphone of even an expensive camera is completely insufficient. So just to kick us off, what I have here is the Rode Videomic Go, which by all accounts is not one of the cheap and cheerful microphones that I'm referring to. However, it fits into this range because it is the cheapest of the Rode video mics, and as far as I know, it is about a third or maybe a half the price retail of the Videomic Pro, the Rode Videomic Pro, which is obviously a staple for many small video productions. What makes this microphone really cool is that it is not powered, so you don't need a battery. You can just plug and go, hence the name Videomic Go. So I'm really just keeping this microphone and this recording as a reference. So this is a recognized video mic, good brand, made in Australia even, not your cheap and cheerful Chinese brands like we like to call them. So this is a nice reference point. I want to point out that this is not a shootout. The microphones that I'll be showing now are microphones that I've found through the years that really are of unknown pedigree. And the idea is that you could, if you're looking for a microphone, that you could possibly look at, maybe there's a microphone that you saw secondhand somewhere, you don't know the brand. This video is really to show, is it worth it to try and buy these or not? Are they any good? Do you just have to go and buy the best Sennheiser or Rode on the market? Or can you try your luck with a cheap and cheerful microphone that you find at a secondhand store, or maybe just at a store that sells cheap products? So just to make all things equal, I'll try and keep my distance more or less consistent that I have from the microphone, and also I'll be taking the windshields off. The sound that you'll be hearing on the video is unedited. I won't have any level changes, and there's no EQ on it whatsoever. So what you hear is an absolute dry recording. So this is the Rode Videomic Go, and this is what it sounds like. Now this little number that we have here is the Satsuma, and this is not as far as I can find, according to my research, this is not meant as a video mic. This is actually a novelty microphone. Satsuma is a company, according to their website, that manufactures and supplies corporate gifts. By the look of their products, it's often electronic corporate gifts, but the idea of this, it seems, would be to have it branded and give it away to clients or use it as promotional material. So I'm not expecting the world from this. I bought this at a pawn shop or a thrift store or a secondhand store for very little money. I bought it because it looked nice. I didn't realize, or I didn't know whether it was functional or not. I just thought it's something I could possibly use as a prop one day. and I brought it to the studio, and I have not used it ever. This is the first time that I am recording with this microphone, so I'm very keen to hear what it sounds like. It is not a USB mic, it is a normal stereo input mic, and my guess is it was probably in the days before USB mics, because now for streaming, Zoom calls, Skype, that type of thing, USB microphones tend to be the preferred choice of microphone. I've had this for 4 or 5 years, just sitting gathering dust, and this could be cool for a little vlog or podcast, video podcast that you do, to even have it in the shot because it looks good. You probably will be a little bit further away from this microphone generally if you use it in a podcast setting or video podcast setting, but if you just want to do a normal voice recording, I suppose you could have it this close. It is it's got all sorts of movements. It has a vintage look. It is a plastic casing, and it has an on and off switch. That is it. That's the Satsuma. So next up is the Shengu SG108. About 11 years ago, what was it, 2008, 2009, I bought a 5D Mark II Canon, and it was my first foray into videography, never mind DSLR videography. And all I knew is that I needed an improvement on the microphone that is built into the camera. And I did not have funds for the Sennheisers and Rhodes that was available at the time. And there weren't that many cheap and affordable microphones like that around anyways. Did I ever find this Shengu SG108, I like saying that, at my local camera store that they have imported. I have never heard of the brand, like you'll hear with some of these others. I've never heard of the brand, but it has worked without a glitch for 11 years. It runs off a 3-volt lithium battery. It lasts forever. And I bought 2 of them, and I think at the time it must have been at about 600 Rand, which in today's terms is in dollars, about $40 that I paid for each. I used them on boom poles. I placed them around the subject out of shot. Generally, I don't like using microphones fixed to the camera body simply because of handling noise and all that. So this is the SG108 from Shengu. I do not know if the company still exists. Maybe it's something I should check out on Google. Next up, we have the Boya BYVM01, I think it is called, if I recall correctly from the box. The model name is nowhere to be found on the actual microphone. So this microphone I saw in a pawn shop or second-hand shop among electronic things. It was so cheap I couldn't ignore it. It was, I think, 190 Rand or 200 Rand, which is between $10 and $15. And I thought, even if it doesn't work, it's worth a try. Since then, I mean, at the time, the brand Boya was completely unknown to me. Since then, the Boya has been aggressively been marketed in South Africa as a affordable video electronic option, and some of their products are actually very decent for the price. None of these microphones should naturally be compared to much more expensive counterparts. The idea is to show that they are useful and you could accomplish excellent results when using these cheaper microphones. But like I said, it's not a shootout. It's not meant to prove that they're better than the more expensive counterparts. This little microphone runs off a single AAA battery, which I think is great. And it has a little bit of a shock absorber, which I don't think is very effective because any tap on the stand here does register on the audio monitor, and I'm sure you hear it. But in terms of a little boom mic, put it on a boom pole for interviews or recording yourself or vlog. This is a really decent little microphone in my experience, but I mean you can decide for yourself. So next up we have the Nonsha Q7, and the only reason I know that is the name of this microphone is because it's printed on the back. I bought this from the aforementioned photographic store that brings in some cheap and cheerful brands from overseas, mainly the East. and this microphone didn't even come in a box. It was packaged in plastic blister packaging, and I was taken by the price. I thought, wait, well, let's give it a whirl. I've had good luck so far, and I bought it. And this is probably my most used microphone, especially out in the fields. Well, I have the Rode Videomic Go now, which I'll be using more. But this is a dynamic microphone. It's powered by 2 AA batteries, which I like. I can use it with my rechargeables. And I've used it as a boom mic mainly. And the sound has always been very good. I've been very impressed. And when I do record external sound with the NTG Rode microphone, and then I have this as reference sound plugged straight into the camera like it is now, I have often felt like it was actually unnecessary to have the external recording as well with a different mic, because the quality was good for what I was using it for. So yeah, this is the Nonsha Q7. Again, another mic that proves that you can get away with cheap often. The shock absorption system here is not great. It has been through the mill. It's broken. It's, I mean, not that I need it that much, but this microphone has actually endured a lot of punishment, and it still works completely fine. So that's another testament to sometimes cheap is good. So that concludes our little roundup of cheap microphones that I have bought that has served me really well. As a side note, I have bought microphones secondhand that out of the box didn't work. So I mean, that happens, that it is a bit of a gamble. They're often a lot better than you think. If you did like this video, please just press the like button, subscribe, share, press the notification button. Any sort of share or like goes a long way. But yeah, thanks till next time.